Namaste and Salem. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting bird, the national bird of Israel. You did not guess it. It's the Eurasian hoopoe, a very unusual bird which no one has expected to be a national bird of anything in fact. The Eurasian hoopoe is just so unique. They make a Eurasian hoopoe hoopoe sound, they have got a nice crest, they have interesting head, wing pattern of black and white, and nice curved bill. So they have muscles in the head which when they put the beak inside the ground, it will open because of muscles in the head. So like this, because of muscles. They measure 25 to 32 centimeters and the wingspan is 44 to 48 centimeters. So if they are flying in, if you measure from rump, middle of center of the rump to tip of the wing, it's 44 to 48 centimeters. The Eurasian hoopoe also weighs 46 to 89 grams. Light, but very big differences. So one individual may be half the weight of another individual of Eurasian hoopoe. They have a long, thin, tapering bill, black, with a fawn base, a bit fawn around here. They have strengthened muscles of the head and help it probe the ground easily with the beak instead of injure itself, because its beak would break after some time. So it has strong muscles like that of woodpecker, like how woodpecker can constantly bang its beak against the wood and not have any fractures. So the Eurasian hoopoe has broad and round wings for strong flight, very strong. They have a characteristic undulated flight like that of a butterfly, which is because their wings half close at the end of each beat, a short sequence of beats. The Eurasian hoopoe, they are known to molt and have been observed molting frequently. After the breeding season, they molt. Certain individuals, they continue to molt. Like individuals, the Eupupa, epops, epops subspecies, the nominate form, which come from Central Asia and migrate to India, they molt continuously in after breeding season even though they are coming to India. So certain individuals are migratory while some are resident. In India, they are resident. What are the sounds of the Eurasian hoopoe? For sure, it is a trisyllabic oop 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 call, sometimes sounding like hoopoo hoopoo, and can have 2 and 4 syllables. In Himalayas, the call of the Eurasian hoopoe can be confused with the Himalayan cuckoo. It can be separated because the Himalayan cuckoo has 4 notes instead of 3. So a Eurasian hoopoe can only be mistaken if it makes oop 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 4 times. It's a oop oop oop. So we can differentiate it by counting how many times oop oop oop. So they also have rasping croaks and hisses when they are alarmed. They make a wheezy sound in courtship feeding by the adult male. So the female makes wheezy call and is being fed in courtship behavior. Subspecies of the Eurasian hoopoe, where all it is found and what is its habitat. The subspecies found in India are Eupupa epops orientalis. It is suggested to be a northwestern subspecies, not yet to come. Then the Eupupa epops epops is the nominate form found in northwest India. It must be really funny to hear the name Eupupa epops really all the time. Then the Eupupa epops ceylonensis, like a place in Sri Lanka, Ceylon. Just smaller than the nominate Eupupa epops epops. It is rufous, strong rufous color, and there is no white color in it. It's just complete black, black and white. Then Eupupa epops longirostris is larger than the nominate Eupupa epops epops and is pale in color. Now for the where all it's found in the world. Certain subspecies of Eupupa epops epops migrate to India and winter from abroad. So they come for winter to India from other countries, Central Asia, Europe and Siberia. So the Eurasian hoopoe has 2 requirements for its habitat. Is it bare, lightly vegetated for foraging, and does it have vertical surfaces? Cavities like trees, cliffs, walls, nest boxes, haystacks, abandoned burrows for nesting. They are found in wooded steppes, grasslands and forest glades. They make more seasonal movements because of rain in the Western Ghats. The Eurasian hoopoe has been seen at high altitudes during migration across the Himalayas. So when they migrate in the epops, they're known to be high above the mountains because the Himalayas are very tall, so they have to fly over the mountains. So they're seen very high up. So you may never see them ever in the Himalayas on the ground, but instead flying. They are found in many parts of the world. Most people think that the Eurasian hoopoe is instead called common hoopoe instead. If you say common hoopoe, you're referring to all three hoopoe species that exist: Madagascan hoopoe and African hoopoe. Not to mistake any of them. African hoopoe is found in North and South Africa and many parts of Africa, while Madagascar is only found in Madagascar. So, and then the Eurasian hoopoe, which everyone thinks is the common hoopoe always. The Eurasian hoopoe is found in Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Siberia, and Europe. It's found almost everywhere in Europe and Asia. So not to mistake the three. They are always called common hoopoe, but they are actually Eurasian. What does the Eurasian hoopoe eat and how does it behave? First, the behavior of the Eurasian hoopoe. You must know the behavior to know its lifestyle in the first place and how interesting it is as a bird. It is sunbathed by spreading out the wings and tail low against the ground and tilting their head up. They often are known to fold the wings and preen halfway. They also take dust and sand baths, so that's why they like the ground so much. And then what do they eat and how do they eat it in the first place? So find it. They eat insects, small reptiles like, let's say, lizards and frogs. And yes, frogs is part of the Eurasian hoopoe's diet, seeds and berries. It's very versatile. The Eurasian hoopoe is a solitary forager and it feeds mainly on the ground because most of its diet is on the ground, like insects, reptiles, frogs, seeds, except for berries. The Eurasian hoopoe rarely feeds in the air. It has strong and rounded wings, which makes it faster maneuverable, but it does not eat much in the air. They only come when numerous swarming insects are there. A big swarm of flies or moths at night time, we can say. The Eurasian hoopoe's style of finding is to stride over relatively open ground and pause to probe the ground. Insect larvae, insect pupa, mole crickets are extracted or dug out with its feet. Then, they also are known to probe into parts of leaves and also use its bill to level large stones and flake off bark. So they literally just move around stones and bark. And they also eat crickets, locusts, beetles, earwigs, cicadas, ant lions, bugs, and ants. Not to be mistaken with the ant lion. They normally eat whatever is 10 to 150 millimeters in length. The prey size is normally 20 to 30 millimeters that they like. Large items are beaten against the ground on a stone to kill them and remove indigestible body parts like wings and legs. So they hate wings and legs. They only want it to be clean and good to eat. How does the Eurasian hoopoe breed and what is its nesting behavior? The Eurasian hoopoe is monogamous, though they're only born for one season, but they catch up later next year. So a male will display again and again to the same female. So it is still considered monogamous, even though they don't necessarily see each other, but they catch up again. The Eurasian hoopoe is highly territorial. A male calls to advertise his ownership of the territory. The male Eurasian hoopoe wants to advertise its territory to make sure others don't infiltrate. Also, it tends to chase and fight rivals. Even rival females also exist, not just rival males. Females also seem to be territorial and infiltrate in territory. So both males and females fight and infiltrate in territory. Battles are common and can be brutal. Very common and brutal. A Eurasian hoopoe will try to stab its rivals with its bill. Some can get blinded. The Eurasian hoopoe lives in a Polar tree or wall which has a narrow entrance. It can be unlined. Various scraps can be collected. The adult Eurasian hoopoe female Eurasian hoopoe incubates the eggs alone in these nesting sites like wall and holes in a tree. The female lays 4 eggs which are round and milky blue but can discolor over time due to dirtiness of the nest. The eggs weigh 4.5 grams. A replacement clutch can exist. The Eurasian hoopoe has defenses in the nest against predators. The uropagial gland of the incubating brooding female Eurasian hoopoe is modified to produce a foul-smelling liquid which smells of rotting meat, and the glands of nestlings do so as well. These secretions are rubbed into the plumage. It scares predators, litters parasites, and also may act as an antibacterial agent, something like a soap. These secretions stop after the female and the young leave the nest. So this only lasts for nest defense only. At the age of 6 days, nestlings can direct streams of feces on predators and will hiss like a snake. They can literally use feces as a projectile feces. It can also strike with their bill or with one wing, literally, the young. So with the bill and wing they can fight. Literally, they have learned how to do self-defense now. The incubation for the eggs of the adult female Eurasian hoopoe is 15 to 18 days. The male feeds the adult female in this time. Incubation begins when the first egg is laid. So the chicks are born asynchronously, meaning their ages vary. The chicks are normally born with a downy plumage. This plumage is basically plumage of a hatchling, the first plumage they ever gain. So they're born with a downy plumage, so they already have feathers instead of being completely bare. In day 3 to 5, feather quills appear that can become adult feathers. So the formation of adult feathers begin very early. The chicks are brooded by the adult female for 9 and 14 days. The adult female Eurasian hoopoe joins the male adult Eurasian hoopoe for feeding the young. They fledge in 26 to 29 days, that's a very long time, and remain with the parents for a week more. They rarely take long to become fledglings and to also become independent. How is the Eurasian hoopoe national bird and its conservation and population? Because it seems this Eurasian hoopoe has got international protection under its feathers instead of under its leaf. So the Eurasian hoopoe disperses and eats pupa of the processionary moth, a very dangerous moth which destroys farms. Because of this, it's afforded international protection, literally by governments. Eurasian hoopoe is the national bird of Israel, as you already know. A national survey of 1,55,000 people was conducted in Israel, citizens, mind you, they voted for the white spectacled bulbul. So basically, the Eurasian hoopoe won the election against white spectacled bulbul. So the population and what threats are there to it. The population of the Eurasian hoopoe is 50 lakh to 1 crore. Big number, very massive. The threats are loss of habitat and hunting. Even though they are granted legal protection internationally, hunting is a problem of the Eurasian hoopoe in many countries. They are least concerned still doing very well. Because in most countries they are actually flourishing, they are not declining much. In very few countries they are actually in decline due to hunting.